Loss limitations is the topic of Learning Objective 6. What we're getting at here is um, when partnerships have tax losses for a year. We've talked about how income or losses flow through to the partners based on their profit sharing percentages. But what happens if the partnership has a tax loss and they flow, let's say $100,000, and they flow that loss to the partners? Say one partner has a 30% interest. That means they're going to be allocated a $30,000 loss. Well, what happens with that $30,000 loss? Is that something that can be deducted on the individual's tax return? That's the question. And the answer is yes, but there are three separate hurdles that have to be cleared by the partner before they can just deduct that loss on their own tax return. The first one, and the main one we're going to talk about, is the tax basis hurdle. There are also at-risk hurdles and passive activity loss hurdles. Those are more advanced topics that we're not really going to deal much with. They are discussed in brief in this chapter, but tax basis is what we're going to focus on. Essentially, a partner has to have enough tax basis in their partnership interest in order to deduct losses on their individual tax returns. So this is why it's so important to have a good maintenance of tax basis in your partnership interest. It's why we calculate an initial basis for a partner. It's why we update that basis every single year. It's why it's so complicated, because it has to be done very meticulously to get the right basis number for this purpose right here, so that partners know how much loss, if they ever are allocated any, can be deducted on their personal tax return against other income. So, like an individual might have 200 grand of wages from some job, and then they might get $170,000 of Schedule K1 losses flowing through from a partnership. They can use those losses to offset all that wage income and almost reduce their tax down to nothing, as long as they have basis in that partnership interest. So this talks about how to calculate, not how to calculate, but what issues arise when we're talking about basis limitations. So look over this example and see that it makes sense, and let me know if you have any questions. It also goes on to talk about at-risk and passive activity, but that's beyond the scope of this class.